What? Was it not? Am I live? Why is it ruining it for me on Twitch? See me now, I haven't gone live on Twitch. Oh, this is a bummer. I don't actually know if I'm live. Oh, we're live. People, Deluded, I'm back again. Thank you very much for tuning in each and every time. No clue why it's not allowing me to stream on Twitch today. It's been an enemy of progress, but we move, people. We keep it going. I hope you lot are doing well and safe. Please make sure you're hitting the like button. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and of course, good night, depending on who you are and wherever you are. And welcome to what feels like day 100 of Arsenal's transfer rumours, people. Now, I can't lie, I prefer to talk about tactics and all them other things, but I recognise in the off-season, you lot like the transfer gossip and things like that. So this is the only reason I do them, really and truly. And it's lovely to see you lot locked in. AM, I can always count on you. It's always appreciated. Sandro, the same. Johnny, I hope you're good. Jay, I hope you're good as well. Man put bare G's in it. I love the energy. I love the energy. You know, Xhaka out, Abraham, everybody's allowed their opinion. You might as well, you might be having your wish if rumours are to be believed. We're going to get on to that in a sec, man. But opinions are free. As I said, please make sure you're hitting the like button. Let's try and catch our usual target of 246 of you locked in within the first opening minute. We're off to a great start. We're out the blocks. Very good, man. Em is saying we are linked with a new player every day. It's getting pathetic. My guy, to be fair, everybody's linked with everyone. Now, Chelsea are linked with every striker under the planet. And I'm sure if you're a Chelsea fan, you're linked with Haaland and it's seeming like they're hell-bent on bringing in Haaland and things like that. If you're United, there's Jadon Sancho there. Liverpool, there was Sancho. You just have to speak to a Liverpool fan to see what's affecting them. Obviously, Villa, it went from rumours to actually getting Buendia. So hopefully there's a rabbit being pulled out the hat at Arsenal. Apparently, there's been a bid for Aouar, not from Arsenal, but there's been a bid from a European club for Houssem Aouar. Again, I got small hope that we've heard literally nothing from the Arsenal point of view or from the Arsenal front with transfers. Buendia, we're not in it. Odegaard looks a bit of a myth, but so I got small hope that Aouar was coming to the club and my football manager signing can come to real life, really. But that's all dreams. Obviously, we're linked with Ruben Neves, and it appears that at least if fans are to be believed, it's Xhaka out, Ruben Neves in. We're going to get into the Xhaka article in a sec. But as I said, please make sure you're hitting the like button, getting your opinions in. I love to hear your thoughts, man. So, yeah, man. What have you said? Almost saying, man was putting out the content last night. Big up Kante. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. But I actually have to come clean. It was scheduled for last night. So over the last 2 days, I've been mashing work and doing those things. And I do them things for you lot because I know I do timestamps and all of that. But I recognize that some people might not come across the timestamp. So if I can clip little videos together and 10 minutes out of there, save someone from doing something, then I'm all for it, man. And I just sometimes think things can be lost in an hour-long live stream or the things we've been doing as a byproduct through lockdown. So that's why I've been doing it. But I weren't up last night doing it. I was doing it actually after the live stream yesterday and a couple other things. So let's say like 2 hours after, I was up editing it and things like that. And then you saw them start to come out and everything else. So yeah, if you love the content, make sure you're subscribed and check out the other videos, man. See, I hope you're doing well. Morning to everyone as well, man. Sandro's killing me with them AM comments. He's getting onto your DP in a good way. Oh, man. Ashton has said, I just put 500 on Arsenal to finish top six based on Everton, Wolves, Spurs and Palace manager situation and West Ham having a small squad. Hopefully you don't lose that 5 bills. You know, they say never gamble more than you can afford to lose. So you must be a rich guy. And, you know, in the same way we're asking for Arsenal to get new owners, you need to come invest in Deluded, my guy. But is where it is, man. I hope you're doing well and safe, man. Bring Neves for the hair game. Fair enough. Makes sense. Emma's said, big up DG, hope you're well. Do you think we stand a chance of getting Grealish? Hell no. If you got 100 million, anything's possible. Arsenal ain't got that. So, yeah, it's like buying a Bugatti. We'd all like one. Only a few people in this earth have Bugatti money. If you ain't, you got to go and save it, man. Do you think it's us who bid for Aouar? I hope it is, Jad, but I don't know, man. I hope it is, but it is what it is, man. I just want Basuma, man. Fair play. I want Basuma as well, man. But we'll have to see whether we get him or not. It's a completely different story, man. There was a comment that I've just missed. Somebody said something interesting about Xhaka. Here it is. Zanji has said, sorry for sounding toxic, but I can't say I'm upset Xhaka is leaving. First and foremost, my guy, if you're part of the DG Nation, we don't run, apart from banter purposes, we don't run agendas and things. We talk about football. So I don't think that sounds toxic. You're allowed to not rate a player. You're allowed to rate a player. You know, I'm sure there's people here that rate Xhaka to high heavens. He's got fanboys and statistic guys and heat maps. I'm sure. And there's also people that, not you, but they take it over the top with Xhaka. So it's a bit of a mixed breeding ground in that sense. But for me, I can't say I'm upset. The only reason I'd be upset is because the only thing that would make me upset is if we don't build on it, in that whatever you think about Xhaka, the man's played typically 30 plus times in the Premier League. Any times the man's fit, he's playing. Whether you like him or not, he's vital to Arteta's system, as he was under Unai Emery and Wenger. Now, I could sit here and say maybe that ultimately led to their demise, among other things in the macro, and that's their problem. But there's no smoke without fire. Whatever you say about Xhaka, there's no coincidence that these three men have made him vital to the team for whatever reason. There's no coincidence that Jose wants him and has been an admirer of him. You know, Arteta talk about buying him at City. I think they're having me on, but there's got to be something, and he's not a bad player. For me, the problem with Xhaka, as I've said before, is the pros to his games, you know, trying to dictate and being brave and all of those things are not outbalanced by the cons. I do think people have overstated the red cards and all of those sort of things, the mistakes, because he has improved in that regards, but ultimately they're always there. For me, it's the lack of athleticism. Granted, I will give him, in the last year, I think he had as much as you can, he was probably one of our better performers last season. He still had the mistakes, but and you don't really see his shortcomings as much. Maybe that's due to the system, but the lack of athleticism. I think Xhaka is a squad player at best. I think he should be someone that you do what we're doing with El Nene, in my opinion. You know, anytime you're trying to build the team around the Xhakas and David Luiz's, they did have some good, and if he was naming Arsenal's best 11 based on last season, they'd be in it. But for me, that's kind of building your house on the sand. You know, that's not solid foundations. For me, the only problems are not necessarily Xhaka. It's that whether I have my opinion on Granit or not, as I said, like the other guys, he's vital to the team and he's played 31 times. All the statistics in terms of the ball going through him, they're all there. We know midfield needs to be fixed. Arguably, before we even consider Xhaka should be a squad man. We should be talking last summer about Partey and the next guy coming in and that being the pivot. We already have midfield issues and now we've brought in another one. I'm not sad Xhaka's going. I actually like that because Arsenal do things a very special way, but that forces us to fix up. That's a key player gone, you know, so you have to fix up. And like I said, whether I rate him or not, he's vital to the team. He plays 30 odd times. The team basically runs through him. Granted, there's even times he's not playing that you see the difference. I'm not saying that to necessarily praise him. I'm saying that as you need to replace this man. You should be upgrading on him anyways. He shouldn't be vital to the team anyways, but you need to upgrade on this man. And I'm not questioning Arteta, but it does make you wonder again. Xhaka was one of the lieutenants. You know, he was a dead man in football in terms when Arteta walked in. He kind of pulled him back in. Now with 2 years or so left on his deal, he wants to keep it moving. Allegedly, Leno the same, Bellerin the same, Hart, Mustafi at a point the same. 9 times out of 10, these sort of people that allegedly Arteta was putting faith in are the ones skating. I can't blame Xhaka for wanting to leave. 28, 29 years of age. You know, I'm sure he wants to play in Europe. I'm sure, which I don't know actually if Roma are in. I'm sure he wants to experience something different. I personally believe last season it was a thing of, okay, cool. I'm going to give you a period where, you know, I'm going to do what I need to do for you, Arteta, but I'm skating. Xhaka owes Arsenal nothing. Arsenal owes Xhaka nothing. As I said, the man shouldn't be vital to the team. We shouldn't be down this many years down the line, still, you know, Xhaka still polarizes debate. As I said, I think there's a lot of extremes. He's got fanboys who overstate his importance, and I think he's got critics who, beyond constructive criticism, underestimate his importance. Fundamentally, for me, it just hasn't worked out. He's not been a bad player, but it just hasn't worked out. He's probably not justified his price tag. If we're really trying to build, we need to do better than that. It's as simple as that, people. And as much as I think when you look at it, he's probably one of our better players last season. Is that anything to go by? And that kind of tells you everything you need to do. Granted, in the grand scheme of things, if he's one of your most important players and playing the better, you need to sign some better players and do better things. So I can't say I'm going to miss Xhaka because I'm not. I do did like him a bit more than most. I do like Granit Xhaka. I like how he doesn't take stuff. I actually like how he plays with his heart on his shoulders. I like how he's got a good mentality, but ultimately he's just probably not good enough for where Arsenal want to be in fans' perspective. And as I said, the main thing for me is we needed to improve this midfield anyways. Hopefully now with Arteta losing his lieutenant, his guy, his teacher's pet, now a decision has to be made by Arsenal. And let's not act oblivious. Obviously, there is a possibility where Roma could have had no long-lasting interest in Granit Xhaka, and they've just made a bid this week. But you can imagine there must have been, way before Jose took over the job, indirect talks between those two, Jose and the club, about who they want to buy, and so we must have known of their interest. For Granit Xhaka, like with Leno and these things, obviously they're allowed to wake up today and say I want to leave. But I personally believe at the age they're at, with the years they're at, the season they've had, you know, every week it's, you know, you're kind of considering what's going on. And I don't think this has happened overnight. I think we've known for a good period of time now, this is what is gonna happen with what he's doing. And I hope on the best of days we really do have a plan, as we're told in the transfer market, definitely now, because again, this is the best time to have a serious reset. And for me, it forces the club to bring in a midfielder, but we'll have to see, man. We really will have to see. My thing is just, you know, again, the body in midfield, because I don't think Xhaka should be vital, but the club did. So if you're losing a vital player and on the best of days, you're not replacing guys, what's the issue there? But as you lot can see here, Arsenal have secret weapon for Ruben Neves transfers. Granit Xhaka set to leave this week. Now, the original Express article, for some reason, I'm getting an error code, so I had to go on here, people. This is just saying Maitland-Niles could be used as a potential weight in a deal to sign Ruben Neves, people, where obviously he was linked with Wolves before. I haven't seen much rumours in relation to Maitland-Niles actually leaving Arsenal and going elsewhere, even though I think he will do. He might be given a blight because, again, midfield, as we're talking about, make sure you're hitting the like button, 200 of you locked in. As we're talking about midfield, whether you're going to keep Joe or Maitland-Niles, considering ODEGAARD, Ceballos have left, Xhaka's probably keeping it moving. Don't know what happens to El Nene. Yes, you could sell before you bring in, but at least until you solve 1-2 futures, you probably will hang on to them. So it does make sense. Personally, I would like to just sell Maitland-Niles outright. I think we could do a lot better. We could get a lot better than actually a make weight. Fair play to Ruben Neves, though. It's nothing to do with him. But it's got, anyways, moving away from that, it is claimed Xhaka's exit could be announced as early as this week. Apparently, Xhaka wants to get it sorted before the Euros, as you should, man. You'd want to go into the Euros, deal with a tournament, and then obviously go to your new club, people. And you don't want to have to deal with it. You just want to be able to focus on the tournament. This is a poor article. I don't know why it's focused on Neves, people. Apologies, people. Again, it's still just linking us with Maitland-Niles. We'll circle back over that, people. But I think I do have a backup. You know, you've always got to have backups, people. We'll circle back over that. As you lot can see here, or better yet, I don't know if you lot can see. Let's zoom in again. Translated from Italian, people. Skipping to the main part. So if it don't make sense, it's not that the Italian don't make sense or I'm not making sense. Google Translate is cop blocking. But apparently long story short, the distance between Roma and Arsenal's request has narrowed considerably in these hours. The Gunners had started at 25 million, while Roma, I assume's first offer was around 15. A game between the parties that led to Roma to raise the bar to 20, including bonuses for the 28-year-old. So you know what? We played allegedly 30 million euros. I've seen anything from 30 to 40. So let's just say 30 because it makes us sound better. It's an L, but it is what it is. You weren't really going to make too much back on a 28-year-old with someone of Xhaka's caliber, realistically. Apparently, an important step after obtaining the okay from Xhaka, he was looking forward to working with the Portuguese coach, has admitted a few days ago. Everyone knows Mourinho and knows what he has managed to do in his career. I don't blame you. You've played under Wenger. You've tried the new thing in Arteta. I wouldn't, the chance to say you've trained under Jose Mourinho and played in Italy and the way of life in Italy and the way of life he can give his young family in Italy, potentially, why not? And obviously, money is an important factor because he's not going to be a footballer forever. I don't know if he's going to be a manager, but at 28, 29, if you can get a 4-year deal on some respectable salary and obviously go to Italy, which probably extends your career by a bit, why not? I think this is healthy for both both parties, because Arsenal needed to move on from Granit Xhaka a long time ago. You know, Giroud was a very underrated player, and it's now become cool to rate Giroud, but I feel it's a bit different. But the same thing applies with Xhaka, in that you bring players in who are not necessarily bad, but then you put them in boots they can't fill. Like, Giroud is a good player within the squad, but he's not good enough if you're trying to be a top 6, top 4 title winning team to be your main striker, the alpha male, the number one, is it? It's the same way Xhaka could be in the squad. He shouldn't be one of the first names on the team sheet, in my humble opinion. But yeah, it is what it is, people. Long story short, you can see it. There was somewhat making some headwinds in relation to Xhaka, and you'd imagine the next step is that, you know, the medical and dotting a couple I's and crossing a lot of T's, and hopefully this means we can see a bit more progress, because we're going to get onto it. But Torreira has been linked with Lazio. Guendouzi apparently signing a new deal and then could be moved on. Hopefully the progress with outgoings can speed up the process in terms of bringing in people into the club. But yeah, man, farewell Granit Xhaka. Whatever you've got to say about him, again, my main point is that the simple fact is, whatever you say about it, the numbers don't lie. The man's played 31 times in the league for us. Again, if he's fit, he plays. So if I see, forget Xhaka, there's a man that plays for the football club I support. He plays in the middle of the park every week, 9 times out of 10, rightly or wrongly. So to me, whatever the manager's trying to implement, he is vital to that system, or implementing it in the best way, right or wrong. So for me now, if I now see this man leave, bearing in mind it's happened under a few managers as well. If I now see this man leave, and on the best of days I thought we needed a midfielder, bring in a midfielder, because this is a chance to really reset now. This is a chance to really improve how our midfield work together offensively and defensively, how they play out from the back. What Arsenal fans, simply put, can see from their midfield, because what is our midfield, really and truly? We're not mad offensive. We don't overrun people. We don't score goals. We're not crazy defensive. It doesn't mean anything. And for me, midfield is as vital as our defense. It's a big part of our defending, as much as I criticize our defense. And also, I have to look at Arteta. Of course, there's a lot of factors maybe for Arsenal not doing what they need to do in the market, cronky, but mismanagement and things like that. But at the same time, you as a midfielder, since you've come into the club, I've seen nothing solved in terms of midfield. So as much as I think the attackers need to pull their fingers out, and I'll criticize you for the attackers, I'm looking at it. If you ain't got a midfield, how are you going to have an attack? You as a midfielder, if you was a centre half and we couldn't defend, I'm looking at you funny. It doesn't make sense, does it? You know, so there's a bit of a dodgy one in that regard. So it is what it is in relation to Granit Xhaka. That's the Torreira stuff. That's Granit Xhaka. So it is what it is in that regards, folks. It is what it is. Let me do my little timestamp. Apparently, Joe Willock might get a new deal as well. So we've got to briefly speak about that one, folks. Sorry for that. Let's go 17:20. Sorry. Let's circle back very quickly, people, because again, I kind of read the wrong article, so we might as well go back. What would you lot make of Maitland-Niles for what it's worth being used as a make weight in the Wolves deal, anyways? Because for me personally, obviously, I'm all for it where is it gone now? I'm all for it if it makes the price tag go down and things like that. But I don't know, man. Something just tells me between Joe and Maitland, I'm on selling them if we're gonna reinvest properly. But something just tells me I want to hold on to one of them. And who knows, Maitland-Niles might listen to what Big Sam has said and say, do you know what, I'm gonna buckle down now. I'm gonna play where needed. But I wouldn't mind selling Maitland, man. I must admit, as much as I love Haaland players, if you can get a decent fee, the problem is, I do think we'll have offers, but it's not like he's gone and done a Joe Willock. Obviously, you don't have to score goals to do a Joe Willock in that. What I mean by it's just he's simply gone to Newcastle, and whatever you say, he's made an instant impact. You're talking about him. You know, you're not talking about Maitland-Niles really and truly. You will pop up in conversation, but you're not talking about him. Now you can see Newcastle take a chance. Maybe a couple other Premier League teams will make an offer, provided something went wrong there. But for what it's worth, like I said before, Arsenal could use Ainsley Maitland-Niles as a potential make weight in a deal to sign Ruben Neves. Now, the only reason, one thing we could use him for is, what did they value him last year at? Whatever Wolves' offer was, I'd sit in that office and go, well, you valued Maitland when you tried to buy him for this much, so you might as well take this much off the transfer fee. But excluding that, he's gone away and been somewhat irregular in a West Brom team as well. So we've got to put a little bit of tax on that, a little bit of VAT, take that off. Let's give you a little fee, and it is what it is in that regard. So why not, man? And for Maitland, again, it all depends who the new coach is, because it was Nuno, I assume, who wanted you. A new manager might use you, but I don't know too much about the incoming new Wolves gaffer, so you'd have to have a conversation with him. I think personally, where Maitland-Niles goes, especially if I assume he aspires to play for a top 6 team or team aspiring for that, he's going to be killed by his versatility. You know, you just got to look to do the James Milner. You know, James Milner's a centre mid, able to perform on the flanks. Obviously, as he got on a bit, he started doing up fullback. I think that's a good avenue. You're allowed to not to say where you want to play. If he wants to play in midfield, he's allowed to say such, people. But it could, it's gonna, the article's gone on to say it could be a wise move, including Maitland in any deal from us, people. A bit ironic there. We might be getting Ruben Neves. Xhaka looks set to leave. Maitland-Niles' future could be an interesting aspect in the pursuit of Neves. Wolves were interested in signing him last year. He's got 5 England caps to his names and 2 years left on his deal, so his future has to be decided. Obviously, this could be a journalist being a bit smart and, like I said, using the factors that we've just suggested, people, to draw that up. But we'll have to see what happens in relation to him. Before I crack on with anything else, though, what are you lot saying? Because I've been missing you lot out, and what you lot have had to say for a sec, people. Where have we say? Big up yourself. PG, hope you're blessed, bro, and you're putting yourself in the shop window for a transfer. Killing me, man. You're killing me. Like Ruben Neves, he's a good player and he's a leader. Amen. It's an hour thing for real. The work rate is appreciated, bro. I appreciate you lot for appreciating such, man. As soon as Xhaka leaves, every midfielder will cost Arsenal an extra 5 million. I don't necessarily think such, BCM, but I see where you're coming from, and that teams know that you need a midfielder. In the best of days, you sold your guy. Because in the footballing world, Xhaka must be held to a different esteem than the fans. So, yeah, Xhaka is not good enough going forward. Can't stand him. He's proper cocky and thinks he's a god. Can't wait till he's gone. I mean, I don't think part of that is fair, you know. I don't think you know him personally to tell him that he thinks he's a god. And one thing I'll give Xhaka is that he is very humble. I'll give him that, people, and you can see from how he's been raised and the stuff he's gone through. I like how he feels himself, but I can see how that rubs people up the wrong way. I don't think we can comment if he thinks he's a god or anything. That's just not fair, whether we like him or not. However, you said he's not good enough going forward, and I do believe that. I think the things we praise Xhaka for, I praise him in comparison to the squad and what he's doing, but I just feel we need midfielders. Like the best midfielders, if it takes 2 touches, they're doing it in 2 touches, maybe even 1. For Xhaka, is taking a bit 3-4, and we've got that paradox in that Xhaka can play these passes and will try to, but he either needs a million years or a million years on the ball, not being pressed. He either needs a million touches, or you have the midfielders, apart from, well, Partey has his weird moments, but you have midfielders who are scared to play the ball, excluding Partey. So it just shows how there's a mix and match. I just want the club to learn from their mistakes with Granit Xhaka, and that you sign the player, you can do a little bit of everything, but what actually is he? And that's not a criticism, because he might thrive elsewhere. But for us, we need players who know exactly what we're getting, sort of thing. You know, I'm sure passing stats, building up from the back, heat maps, all these things are in Granit Xhaka's favour. But what midfielder are you? I can tell you deep lying playmaker. Arguably, you could say he's been box to box. I don't know. This is something we need to learn from, in my opinion. With Xhaka, the mentality is there, but not the skill set. Fair play. Fair play. Remember when Xhaka took his shirt off when he came off? I mean, when he swore? I was at that ground, and to be fair, fans swore at him. I'm not saying the fans were right. I'm not saying Xhaka was right, but every action has a reaction. You can't get onto a man and behave when he reacts just because you think you have a divine right over him, man. But 100%, man. I'm there, my guy. I hope you're good as well. Game bread baller. Dane said, big up DG. I'm off sick from work so I can enjoy your live streams more. Dane, on behalf of everybody and myself, wishing you speedy recovery. Make sure you get your ginger and lemon and all those sort of things. Hopefully a speedy recovery for you, man. And you could get back on what you need to do. But I appreciate that. Xhaka has been good this season, but I don't see him playing this good in the future again, so it's better to sell him now. I think he has had a good season, but I think it's meaty. If that's my opinion, I just think it's meaty. Like, I just think, yeah, he's had a good season, and it's nothing. It is something to do with him, but he's not to blame. But we're 7th. Like, man had a good season. What is a good season? Finish 7th, and arguably for me, it's nothing to do with Xhaka. But if I'm finishing 7th, 8th, I keep saying 7th. We finish 8th, so I'm overselling it. If I finish 8th, and with respect, fans are sitting here and saying Xhaka and David Luiz are the leaders, 2 of the best performers. For me, if I didn't get a kick up the bum to want to get back on being a winner when we went out of the Champions League, when we went out of Europe, I sure as hell am now. Because again, for me, that is building foundations on the sand. And it's, you know, it is what it is. You know, we Arsenal fans have been twanged, in my opinion, into we're accepting, you know, they do little things like, we knew you needed to, for Partey to thrive, or if we signed the hour or more expansive 8, you would have needed a Partey. You know, if we signed hour, we'll be screaming, where's that number 6? I think that, and they twanged us last season into believing it was either or when you needed both. I think they do these things, and I think because of the lack of movement and signing the right players, we're prepared to sit there and accept players that are probably not good enough, players with shortcomings, just because they're better than the other scraps that are there. And it's almost the lesser of evils. It's like when you look at our defense, yeah, you know, David Luiz is a bit booky with it sometimes, but you're prepared to accept it because he's a bit brave, where it shouldn't be that, man. We should be sitting here and saying this guy is better because he's slightly faster, and this guy is better because he's slightly better at bringing it out from the back, but they both could be used. So 100%, man. I think Xhaka's been playing the same. I don't think his playing standard has been mad up there in comparison to other seasons. I just think he's been doing what he's been doing. Like I said at the start, I do think his deficiencies defensively have been hidden a bit, and that's down to him improving and maybe the system, because he's improved his positioning, in my opinion, and he's not as high up the field. But at the same time, that happened at Spurs away. At the same time, there's still those mistakes. What was it against Leicester? I could be wrong. Fair enough, you can't kill a man on 1 or 2 incidences. But again, how can you really build a team when you know that Xhaka is going to make it? Everyone makes mistakes in it, but you know Xhaka is good for X amount of mistakes. You know potentially David Luiz, who was once here, was Leno would be, you know, Bellerin might be, and other people. I'm not trying to scapegoat them. I'm just saying you can't have this, especially when half of that is the foundation. Half of them names I said is the defense and the midfield. That's the foundation. Again, you're building your foundations on the sand and expecting it to be sturdy. You know, when we're winning these little games against West Bromwich Albion and run towards the end of the season when there's nothing to play for, that's when it's shining. You know, your house can be built on the sun, in the sand when the sun's out. But when it starts raining, the sand starts melting and whatnot, then you start seeing it. And if you was to describe that, that's the numerous times we've, you know, been bottling it this season, especially the first furlong in the season when we had bare teams done the double over us. But it was for me, it was the Villa, the Wolves. There's a next one, Leicester, all at home. And then there was plenty of other times we've dropped it. But again, the foundations need to be reset, man. This is a season. This is a pre-season to reset our foundations, in my opinion, man. Like, but it's going to be tough. Them things there are tough decisions. It's tough decisions. Like I said at the start, I don't care if Xhaka's leaving in it. I just care if man are replacing him. I'll thank him for. I've never had to. One thing I'll never criticize Xhaka's integrity. I've never had to ask if he's going to give it all for his cause. I can criticize him with how he plays. Fair enough. I'll leave you with a pat on the back. It is what it is. But it's all about the replacement. And for me, as I said before, when you hear Xhaka wants to leave, Leno, Bellerin, all of these things, Willian, I don't care, because you man are not the guys taking this thing forward. But at the same time, I think there's a big difference between if they're saying they want to leave or if the club is. I'm not getting the vibe that we're telling man, this is what we're doing. This is what you need to do. That's what we're doing. I see it as people going, yeah, you know what? I like my time here, but I'm finna go Italy. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do that, which again, fundamentally, just getting certain players out, I don't care, but I just feel that's a big issue there. Like, are we sitting there and saying, William, you know what? This season, you messed up. You got to go, man. There's no second season. Or is he saying, you know what? I thought this would be easier, but I'm not liking the training. I'm not liking this. You know, I'm too old really for this in my career. I can go and get a payday. Safe, man. Luiz is leaving. The man them are out. You know, Martinelli and Gabriel, I love you lot, but I'm out, man. I'm finna do something else. Time will tell. Time will tell. And as I said, I'm prepared to shut my mouth until the end of the window. But come the end of the window, I've got a lot to say, because for me, especially in the middle of the park, do you lot remember creativity was a thing? But do you lot remember, mainly towards the end of the year, with the emergence of Smith Rowe in January and Ozil leaving, we started saying 10, because we was more looking for the modern day 8s and that, the hours, and I keep saying hours, not the only one alive, but that's where the modern creativity is. As you lot know, there's not too many pure 10s these days. You know what I mean by the pure 10s, the Mesut Ozils, these sort of guys. The 10s of today are now 8s. So I would have liked someone who can get goals, get assists, or at minimum dictate the tempo of a game in midfield. He wants the ball. He receive it off the centre half. So he'll cut teams open and all of those things, especially when we're playing in a low block. The minute it became clear that only Partey was coming in, you should have had an X amount of targets in that specific position. If I can't get Aouar because of Champions League or this or that, there's this guy. To the point where there's someone, we're signing someone and we're saying, who's that? You know, that you should be able to, as much as we all want recognized talents, you should be able to bring up a man from Belgium, you know, second division in France, anywhere. Football's a universal game. There's ballers everywhere. You just need to look properly and do the right things. And I'm sorry, but regardless of what we say, the club has the resources to do such, and I'm not really seeing it. So there's an issue. You know, there's an issue. There should be at least 10 targets, and then it's whittled down to 5 and 3 realistic ones and contingency plans and all of those things. Edu said we want to use stat DNA. Again, the stat program isn't the problem. It's who's been using the program. Because I bet there's people at clubs that got wavy software and they're looking at and it's drawing bare players up on a database for them and they're getting wavy players. But, you know, it's all about who is looking. It's all about who is looking at that data and what the data is showing you. So again, we need to start moving properly, because you look at Arsenal, apart from what we've been in the past and a couple of players about, you don't really know what we're about. Everyone seems to have a system or a way of doing things or a sustainable working practices from top to level, regardless of if they're above us or below us, they're actually us. So, boy, it is what it is in that regards for me there, folks, people. 391 of you locked in. Please make sure you're hitting the like button. The like button target is 200. We're at 140, so we're off to a great start, but we can do a lot better. There's a couple of you being lazy people. Make sure you're checking out the DG merchandise as well. Let me drop a link in the description. And I appreciate everybody who's been purchasing goods so far, man. I really appreciate the DG Nation. A shout out to you lot. Oh, I was meant to unshare that with you guys. Don't actually just put the link in there. Play Xhaka in the midfield surrounded by runners. He looks like a baller. 100%. 100%. That's why he looks like a baller at Switzerland. I think, like everyone, in Italy, I don't think he's as slow as people make out, but I think he's going to have a lot of time there. He's going to have a good time there, in my opinion. Maitland-Niles needs to be in a team that plays good football. Thinks once he patterns his dog work, he could find a team where he's playing week in, week out. You see the best out of him with Leeds. Oh, he can work hard. He's got ability. It's just the penny needs to drop. He's just a bit passive with it. It's like he's fitting in, but he's not standing out. And that's a gift and a curse. You know, you've got to find that healthy blend of not overdoing it, but doing enough. And it's like games are passing him by. Even Sam Allardyce, if you're going to play midfield, you have to get goals or assists, or you need to do better in the final third. His final third play, something that you probably would have thought wouldn't be the issue, has been actually. There's been many times I've sat here and said it in the loan reports, and I've got videos coming out where we're going to specifically focus on individual players, how they've performed away from the club on loan. But even there's been like United, you know, poor decision making meant they, you know, he didn't get an assist. There's been times the end product hasn't been there, and that's not a criticism. He just needs to pattern that. But he would be a decent fit for Leeds. I don't think he starts, but it is what it is. I don't think Partey always needs 5 or 6 touches, but I agree. But that's the thing. Partey, no matter, I know people are gassing it up, but he's not in the team for the passing thing. He can do it. He's there to put a foot in. You know, if we can get someone that's a bit more of a baller like that, can get away with that, man. With Xhaka and Luiz leaving, we've got no leaders in the dressing room. I hear that, but all I can say to you, I can't lie. I think Holding's a bit of a leader. I think a couple man are more vocal than giving credit, but I agree, man. We're with a shortage there, man. DG, can we get a Mazzolini shirt? You know what? Let me screenshot that. That could, you know what? Duns like you don't even cop it, but that could be a shout, man. Bro, that's harsh. Xhaka and Jose, tired player and manager. What a combination. Mad. All the players you mentioned, Bellerin, Leno, Xhaka, are clearly not the future of our club or part of this rebuild. 100%. Ceballos is apparently that guy. What? DG, do you think Arsenal will go for Haaland? Bro, maybe in Football Manager. That's there. You got to grab him when he's at Norway, man. You got them man there. You got to grab him when he was scoring them mad. I swear he scored 7 or 9 goals in one tournament, under 20 World Cup. You know, we could have actually got him, Martinez, Millier was playing there of Leeds. There was quite a few little players there we could have grabbed in that tournament. It's all coming back. You got to grab them there, man. You got to grab them there. if he could only move quicker, would have been a success. Yes and no. Yeah, man. If I was faster, if I was stronger, if I was taller, I might be a pro bowler. I can't deal with the ifs and buts and those sort of things, man. You know, as Arsenal fans, we keep saying that if Aubameyang could create his own goals, if Lacazette could get 20 goals, if this guy could stay fit, if that guy gets a right back, if this guy gets a centre half, if the gaffer gets a midfielder, there's bare ifs and buts, and they're all true. But sometimes we just have to face reality and accept things for what they are. 412 of you locked in. Please make sure you're hitting the like button. Everyone's slagging off Xhaka. Which midfielders have been performing for Arsenal? Which, again, I do think Xhaka has been underappreciated. Like I said at the start, I think his fanboys that are past. I'm not talking about people that call it as they see it. You've played good today. You've played rubbish today. That's fair. That's the majority of fans. I'm talking about, you know, like the Colts have football goals nowadays. There's man that really support players, like will manipulate stats to sort any mad agenda. Them guys there is what I'm talking about. And again, the flip side of that is the people that are on the same thing, but they don't like a player. I think Xhaka's got a lot of that. I'm not talking about the people that could say Xhaka's not my cup of tea, I don't rate him, but he's played well, or I like Xhaka, but he's not good enough. That's what we're talking about. That's the problem we're at, and I think that's one problem with Arsenal. There's too many polarizing players. There's very few players you look at in that squad and you say, no, they're good players, they're certified. For me, Martinelli. For me, Gabriel. For me, Partey. Saka, Smith Rowe. They need no introduction. Doesn't need to be stated. I don't need to talk about the Flying Scotsman, Tierney either. These sort of guys, for me anyways, it's non-debatable. You can have criticisms about what they do, what they can improve, and the rest of that. And I may have missed out 1-2 man. But then there's that. But then if I start throwing in names, other names like what? Marie, certain people might say something. Leno, man, might sit here and say something different. Who else could we use? Bellerin, Chambers, Rob Holding. I'm sure that name there's probably threw up a lot of ones in the chat now. El Nene, you know, Lacazette even. A lot of people, again, this is the problem. And it all probably comes by not being proactive. We've got a lot of players that are probably in the halfway house. There's 2 reasons to stay, 5 reasons to go, 5 reasons to sell. It's a bit mad. And until we sort these sort of things out, it's a bit mad, man. Adil said, big up DG, how you keeping? I'm good, my guy. You lot are interacting. We're talking about football. It is what it is, man. You know, I'm happy to be here, and I really am appreciative that we're building and have built a good community here, man. I really appreciate it. This is it as well, man. But that's the thing, see, you know, many people think they have a divine right to talk to people, especially in that Xhaka situation, like they don't like they're better than him from a human perspective. But it is what it is. Ainsley Maitland-Niles ain't the one in midfield. Unless he bucks up his ideas and plays right back, he can go too. I can't lie, even if he says I want to play right back, I'm still trying to bring a right back in. You know, I would love Maitland to have a go at it and do it and things, but I still think bring a right back in. Personally, man said swap Joe Listen for Willock. Hey man, look at you trying to con us. Big up DG from Sunny Brixton. Big up yourself, Xhaka. Man said Sunny Brixton. Big up yourself. Jamie, what's good, my guy? I'm good, my guy. I hope you're good. I hope everyone in your family is good and things like that. I'm sorry, DG, I don't rate Xhaka at all, but big up to yourself, bro. Listen, you're allowed to not rate him, you know. You're allowed to not rate him, you know. Xhaka has made the most individual errors by any single player in the Premier League. Record breaker we don't need if we're going to get better than 8th. Cam with the comment of the day, really. Can't expand on that. You know, shout out to you, Cam, but there's not a damn thing I can add on to that. You said it there. I love Ainsley, but time to go. Big up yourself, your show Deluded. Big up from New Orleans. Shout out to the New Orleans and the fellow American ones. You know, interesting comments. Keep them coming, people. Some very interesting things, man. Let's see if Szoboszlai has a good Euros with Hungary. Is he going? I swear I saw something that he's injured or something. Let me type that in. I might. Boy, I'm just going to sit here and say, act like I can spell Szoboszlai. Szobosz. Hey, trust me. I can smell a little piece of it, spell a little bit of it, and it came up. Yeah, I'm sure he's missing the Euros. Yeah. I knew I saw that a week ago. Szoboszlai is not in the Euros, man. realistically, do you think Arsenal are going to make good moves this summer, or do you think it will be business as usual? Asks Andrew Shell. Well, I don't know, man. I do think the club have a plan, because I think there's a lot of silence, and I just think logically you have to consider that because you had no sell-on buy clause, for ODEGAARD, that one there is dead in the pan. You know, you had to consider that a future of Buendia was not going to sign for this club, so there has to be something. There has to be some sort of. If Xhaka is leaving as well, again, I'm happy Xhaka is going because I want better, but the man's vital to what Arteta is doing. You know, the whole world, from an Arsenal perspective, had pitchforks for Xhaka. Then Arteta was a saving grace. So you rid for Xhaka. You made him part of the system. You did all of that. So if you're now going to sell him for whatever reason, surely you're bringing in a next midfielder that's going to be your sort of guy like that. Again, I don't know this. I'm just saying logically, hopefully, more pleading that is the case, really and truly. Big up DG, got to listen on the slide from work. Big up M, don't get in trouble because of this, my dude, but I appreciate that. Shout out to everyone that's locked in, listening to me on the sly at work. I know a couple of you are being badass kids. You're meant to be at college and school. You're not listening. You've got the headphones in. I used to do that. You ain't even got wired headphones these days, more time in it, but you put the wired up there, you do a little thing like that. Oh, man, that was me, man, listening to my gigs and dubs and the rest of them sort of Peckham ones. Xhaka's going to look world-class in Italian league. I don't really understand why people are harsh on Odegaard. He's a baller. I got so much faith. He is young. 100%. I think people are onto him. I think he's a baller. I want him to stay, but and I like him. I rate him as well. And I think people are being harsh. I think people are flip-flopping, in a sense of, you know, I feel before he really did anything, people were gassing it. And then when he started doing things, man are getting onto him. But I can't really disagree still. I know I said I was looking at him on a harsh one because he's not our player. He's joining mid-season. It's a relationship of convenience. We need creativity. He needs a platform to show Real Madrid they're wrong, either express himself or grow in football. So I wanted to see a bit more. And what is it? I swear it's like 2 goals, 2 assists or something like that. You know, and if I think of the games, he's probably like, if he isn't returning to Arsenal, which I think is the case, what would I say is his legacy? He played good in the comeback against West Ham. I think he was good against Leicester. Really standout game in the Europa League against Benfica. And that comeback, I would say Spurs is probably up there, one of his best performances. So yeah, I do think he's not been helped because of his injuries, and I think an injury suffered to him in the last furlong of the season didn't help him. I like his adaptability. We've seen him play creatively in the middle or off the flanks, but I think he'd be better if he played off the flanks. I feel Smith Rowe has shown it at times. He's shown it at times. Ozil's shown it at times. That age-old thing of every time we have a creator, because the centre mids aren't levels, they're having to drop ridiculously deep. So I do think Odegaard's a baller. Pardon me. I do think Odegaard's a baller. But there is no smoke without fire. I can't lie. I know statistics aren't always kind to people and things like that, but I do think it was meaty. Like I do think his return, his goal return and assist return is a bit meaty still. I can't even cap to you, my bro, but love for that. Why are fans harsh on Odegaard? He is a baller. Good timestamp there. I agree fully, DG, about Maitland-Niles. He's hella passive, and that West Brom games were passing him by. Exactly. That's what you got to find, that balance. You got to find that balance. And I like his language, his style, but it can go against you. Obviously, Maitland-Niles is playing catch up as well because, you know, you were a midfielder by trade and things like that, but it's time is somewhat of a reset. You know, Joe Willock has been playing in midfield. You've been playing here, there, and everywhere. So yeah, man, it is what it is. And for Maitland, I would say realistically, and as much as you want to play midfield and all of those sort of things, how many appearances would you have in the senior game if you didn't play fullback? You know, you would not be an England international if you didn't have the ability or some ability to play fullback. Because you never got in there in midfield. Ifs and buts, you probably wouldn't, but who knows, man? You might have got England cap if you stayed there and stayed up and stayed at right back. You know, look at Ben White. Ben White's ability to play centre half, right back, defensive mid-season called up due to injuries and all those sort of things. Some man going on like our midfield being poor is an excuse not to give Xhaka any criticism. Tell Wood, I'm going to stop there before I carry on. I think that is one thing that pains me. And away from this Xhaka stuff, one thing that I feel is a luxury. It's not even a luxury. That's something that I feel fans are running all the time. And I feel it needs to be a level playing field for everything, man. So bang on there. Shout the members, man. My members, some of the smartest out here. It's mad. How many Burnley-esque performances have we seen from Donny? El Nene don't do that stuff. Yeah, facts. Man need to understand Basuma can't pass like that. If you get Basuma next to Partey, zero creativity. Again, exactly. And you're going to over-rely on that creative man in the middle of the park, whoever it is. And then you're going to look at him to be the messiah, like we've seen. That's what I mean by when I always say signing one man in whatever discipline, in it, whether that's the up front, in midfield or defense, it's not going to solve everything. It's a collective effort. You know, I do want to sign Basuma. You know, I want to have the option of Basuma and Partey or one of the two. But equally, you need a couple of eights in there because, again, like you said, it's a bit lacking. Basuma and Partey can pass the ball, but they never made it to this level or where they are through their passing ability. Primarily, they're in the teams for other things. So, yeah, man. Good comments, man. Esther said, DG, can you explain what the team is doing? Is Arteta winging it every game, or is he really trying to establish a style of play? Bless from Lisbon, I believe. Bro, I wish I could tell you. I have to assume it's a bit of winging it, but realistically, I'm sure he has a system. I'm sure he has something he's trying to, you know, something he's working on all week and showing it on a match day. But I'm not, for me as a fan, I can't really. I have a appreciation for training, but it's not my job to care about that. My job is to go to work all week, buy my ticket, hear what you said in the pre-matches, see what you're doing in the games, and that's it. And I haven't seen that. And if you look at it on the harshest of ones, without considering the micro things in that, you've been here a year, you've had a full season, finished in the same position, better at some aspects, lacking and underperforming in many, and arguably got worse. You know, I don't know what you're trying to do. Has he tried to do too much, ultimately done too little? Has he not delegated enough? You know, has he spent too much time in other places? Could it be a thing where he's patterned the collective, but it's his own mindset that's stopping him? Because for me, I can see that. You could see instantly he wanted to improve us defensively, and against big teams. Yeah, we're having moments where teams are having brain farts, conceding penalties, VAR or whatever, whether that's Chelsea, Spurs, United, whatever, innit? But we're not it's not that we're not winning them games because we're doing the Wenger ball and things like that. We're defending. And I think that a lot of that is because he's got a handbrake and he doesn't trust a lot of the naiveties in this team, which I understand, but to some degree, that is crippling our ability to also defend from the front, which is simply shooting and whatnot. So maybe a bit of everything, man. To a degree, when you take a new job, surely there's a degree of winging it. Like in forget Arteta and football. We've all had new jobs here, or some of you had. You ask for help, you have ways of doing it and stuff, but there is a degree of winging it. Let's be real. There is certain things you just have to try. You just have to behave like you know what's going on. So there probably is a degree of him winging it, if I'm completely honest, bro. Play next season. Sorry, my dude. I remember any games where Xhaka is taking it by the stuff of its necks. I'd be interested in taking Okay Yukuzlu. What do you think? Jay, I spoke about him, Fran Bertrand, and there was a next guy. I did a video early days with them Celta Vigo Dons. Probably since I've done that video, admittedly, I've not really on it, but he would be a tough tackler. He can recycle a ball well. Wouldn't mind it, but I think let that one day pass, man. ODEGAARD helped show what a playmaker with energy to press and organize the team with his own vision is a more modern day version of a 10 and is needed when others say 10 is no longer relevant. Exactly, you know. And when people hear 10, they just assume it's a pivot and an organic 10. You know, you can have a hell of a creative team without a 10. You know, arguably, you look at City, who is an organic 10. You could force it and say Bernardo Silva. I'd say Foden. You can say Kevin De Bruyne, but he's more of the 8.5, which is the new 10s. Gundogan's at 8.5. The man there are extremely great players. Now, you can do that route. You don't need a 10 necessarily. But it is what it is, man. DG Arsenal has made my life miserable. Hey, no matter what, the beautiful thing about life is that you've still got it, man. You know, find other things to focus on, man. They are still focused on Odegaard. That's not over. Hope so, man. Because like I said, we need to do something, man. There's a clear style of play. We attack as a 3-6-1 and defend as a 5-3-2. the movement, we don't break in numbers. The movement isn't there as consistently, apart from individual moments. I can see where you're getting at, but it's not of an evident level for me anyways to comprehend it and condone it, man. Arteta doesn't even have a centre-back pairing, let alone knowing his best 11. We seem to wing it and just hope overlaps from Tierney work. Apparently, reports in Norway, Sanderberg's exit is imminent. Plus, with Odegaard, maybe we're going his fellow countrymen as well. Maybe, man. But until I see that, is what it is. DG best fullback since Lauren. DG, can you give us an insight into why it takes us at least 20 minutes every game to wake up and get going, or if we concede, we decide to start playing? Mentality, that's something which I think is on Arteta, but not on Arteta. Ultimately, it's the manager's job to get that. But mentality, the manager all week can prepare you. He can give you all the systems. He can tell you everything. If you're a fullback, tell you about the opposition's winger, so on and so forth. But you've got to be prepared. And too often than not, maybe we're not preparing properly, and that's down to the manager. But I feel that's the players' jobs. When they wake up, I have to assume the byproduct of that is because we're not waking up. When you wake up in the morning, is football in your mind, is having a good game and winning your individual battles. If you have fear and butterflies in your stomach, there's nothing wrong with that. We're all human. But are they recognizing that fear and meeting it head on? I don't think they are. I think that's where they're winging it personally. So I think that's on them, man. The players have to learn to be prepared. The players have to. Because again, if it's a byproduct, and there's that several of these players have done it under a couple of other gaffers now. So it is what it is in that regards. They need to pull it out. Once the manager puts you out there onto that field of play, it's all down to you. In my opinion, anyways, and I don't think there's enough accountability in that regards from these players, personally. Make sure you're hitting the like button, people. People forgetting Xhaka cost us in that game we drew to Brighton. That cost us top 4. Too many mistakes. I agree, disagree. I agree in that there's too many mistakes. I agree, Spiky, that people are forgetting things. I agree to a degree that it's played a part in us costing top 4. But personally, I don't think there's been one single moment we've lost top 4. It's like when under Unai Emery, where people are focusing on that, we finished a point off it. Yeah, that's true. But look at the games we dropped points. There was numerous times where it's really not a point. And I think Xhaka's made mistakes. Luiz has made mistakes. Other players have made mistakes. Again, there's just too many error-ridden players, as well as the manager doing a couple of things that have all led to things. And everyone's human. You're going to get games people just played poor. Managers just got it wrong. But too often than not, that has been the case with Arsenal. So it is what it is. Interesting comments from you guys, man. Very interesting comments. Some harsh, but nonetheless, it is what it is. Linked to Sat Maximin, we're not buying that. Arteta out, Emery in again. You don't need 2 6s. I do in a 25-man squad if we're trying to be in the Champions League and Europa League and all of those sort of things. If one gets injured, you're back to square one. Personally, I think you need 2 6s, 2 8s. If you can get a player, you can do both. Fair play, man. Why are we looking for a Cam when we have Smith Rowe? He's full of potential. Why are we destroying our talents by buying someone who might or might not perform? I don't think the two are interlacted. I do think, as you've seen, Smith Rowe, there's an over-reliance on him. He has been getting injured. You do need to, so there's that to consider. Also, it's not fair to rely on him all the time. Let the man have a healthy scope to grow. We shouldn't be relying on Saka and Smith Rowe to their individual brilliance or their link-up play or them playing well to get 3 points. Bro, they're a 20-year-old and a 19-year-old at the times, respectively. So I feel we've got to be a bit fair now. I don't think we're destroying him, But yeah, man. Would you take Kessié? Why not? Of course. No matter what formation we start, we always attack the same. Sad, man. Glad Xhaka moving on slow, backwards, sideways, sits too deep, is a leader, but I want a midfielder that thinks forwards. Time to move on. Boy, can't disagree with that. very, you know, like I said, some harsh comments, but some fair comments, people. 229 likes. Come on, people. There's over 400 of you locked in. That thing there should at least say 300, 400. Come, keep doing that one there up, people. It doesn't cost a thing to hit the subscribe button or the like button, you lazy ones, man. He doesn't have a centre-back pairing because we ain't got good enough centre-backs. I agree and disagree. I still think that's no excuse. You know, 37 different lineups in 38 games. Okay. I have to see. Hit the like button. I see a super chat, but hey, I rate you lot's comments, but I can't find it now. Here we go. Love for that, Ray. Hit the like button, peeps. It don't cost a thing. Glad Xhaka is moving on and wishing good luck at Roma. Hope Hector Bellerin follows suit too. Big up to you, DG. I appreciate that $5, my guy. I really do. Thank you very much for that. And can't disagree with anything you said. You know, you're happy to see Xhaka being moved on. I arguably would have liked to have seen Bellerin moved on before Xhaka because yeah, I actually at least Xhaka can. There's some things that can save Xhaka. Bellerin can't really do none of that. But yeah, man. Hopefully, we can just have a team that reflects what us fans want, man. Exactly. There's times to exactly. Well, that's times to go with it. Pep tried to match fire with Chelsea. He probably overthought. Gundogan has originally played in a 6 and probably a bit more further forward, false 9 in the last 18 months for City. But, you know, that was a game you probably needed a 6. If you had Fernandinho there, I'm not saying he stops that goal, but he might read that situation before it's happened, where Stones, Diaz, Zinchenko, and everyone else is in no man's land. Again, time and places. There's 38 Premier League games, you know, 40 games for Arsenal next season, you know, should be over that. You know, you've got however many in the Europa or Champions League provided with there. You've got 38 in the Prem. You've got the cup games. Football's a squad game. You need 2 6s, 2 8s, or people able to play other roles, because there's some games, if you're going against a low block, you probably don't even need a 6, really. I would like to sit here and say, Arsenal could sit here and do other things. Like Arsenal could just go there with 2 8s and a 10 and whatnot. I understand your point, DG, but look at Foden, Mount, and so on. Not quite sure what you're directly referring to in that one. You know, we've been speaking about quite a few things, but no worries, man. No worries. Interesting comments all the way. Tappers every window. Matteo said, no one said Neves' name until 2 days ago, and now he's the only player these fans want. Madness. I agree, but disagree. I've actually seen a lot of negativity in relation to Neves with Arsenal fans, but I do agree with you in that when we're linked with a player, they become the only one in the world, like Aouar, Buendia, Basuma, Partey. Fortunately, it worked for us. Odegaard on loan. They become the only player that's ever played in that role. No, it doesn't. It means when we need a goal, I shouldn't be looking at Smith Rowe and Saka. I should have other players able to do it. I shouldn't have to rely on Smith Rowe and Saka's individual brilliance. We should have other players that could pick up the slack. And there's even been times, less so much for Martinelli this season, but Saka and Smith Rowe, you know, they've looked either knackered, they've gone through a rough patch, you know, they should be taking out the team. And we shouldn't be sitting there in the Europa League semi-final, you know, relying on these 2 young men, when there's players that have played for their country, captained their country, played in all sorts of divisions, played, you know, been professional footballers for the best part of over 5-10 years. Ridiculous. Mid-20s, late 20s, early 30s, you know. It don't make sense, but you could say that. But at some point, that's what we're kind of getting at, you know. You've got to go from being a young player to being the best player on the pitch, really. And it is what it is. What do you think of Milinkovic-Savic? Sick footballer. Feel like Neves is a smoke screen. This club has given me trust issues. All right, man. I just want to see a player come in, man. Totally agree with you about Saka and Smith Rowe. And again, it's not healthy for them players to grow. Obviously, them players there, you need to be able to thrive in a madness, and they thrived through a madness. But again, it's not healthy conditions, really and truly. Bro, interesting point. What have you said? I feel like the 37 different squad changes is down to a fatigue of the squad, and also the fact that no one in the squad is consistent enough to play 38 games in a season. I hear you, but I don't agree, because 37 different lineups in 38 games. 37 different lineups in 38 games. Everybody's had injuries this season. Every manager has complained about how COVID and all of these things and how the football schedule, you know, but some players, some people have been easier to cope than others. But I mean, that's no excuse, man. That's no excuse, because again, we're sitting here, don't understand what the team is about. You know, if you just show the tape of Arteta's last game when he first came in and last game when he had a full season, is there a dramatic difference? Just the 90 minutes. If someone didn't give a crap about Arsenal, any of these macro issues, can you see the difference? And that's what you've got to look at for the lazy fan, not for us that can sit here and consider all of these multiple points. Reports saying Arsenal asking 20 million for Bellerin. Do you think that is a fair price, DG? A hell of a fair price. Maybe even not too, maybe too expensive by a little bit, if I'm completely honest with you. But why not, man? Why not? Might as well take it. Love for the super chat, my guy. Wish you had something to say with that, but you don't. But I'm very appreciative of that. Loving the live show in this glorious sunshine, King. I have a question for you. Who out of this lot we're linked to would you really like to have? But you have to give me some names. We're linked, as you lot can see every day, we're linked with a new player. But off the top of my head, I wouldn't mind Neves. I would have been keen on the Buendia one, but that one's gone. You know, if we're still linked with I'm on the Aura one. We've been linked with Ben White. I wouldn't mind Ben White, but we're not paying 50 million. So I'd have to know. We're being linked with too many, my guy. But I would have said Aura is a guy I really wanted, if that makes sense. And this is it as well. How many different pairings? How are players supposed to get used to each other? And what, like I said, you need to have different options. But at the same time, as you said there, my guy, you need to be able to allow people to build relationships. You know, when you allow Chambers and Pepe, or even Cedric and Pepe, or even at a time Maitland-Niles and Pepe, Tierney with the people in front of him, you know, you allow relationships to build. Gabriel and David Luiz, it built to a degree. No matter what, they're both Brazilian. That don't mean anything. You know, one's experienced, one's young. It don't mean anything. One's left-footed, one's right. They had to play with each other. They built a relationship. We're not going to see the best out of this team until we allow relationships to thrive. Because how many of you have played football? You've played football, you know. When you've been playing in the team for a while, you start knowing other man's characteristics. 5-a-side, 11-a-side. You know this player likes to play that sort of pass. You know he thinks a certain sort of way. If you make a certain sort of run, that guy can find you, or that guy can't find you. So rather than go long, man's going to come short and give you an option until we do these things. Or there might be 3 of you. And as you see with Smith Rowe, Lacazette and Saka, Smith Rowe might clock Saka, and Lacazette got this. Let me make a run in behind because they're going to play a 1-2. I'm going to run on behind it. These sort of things, until we're able to do that. Look at City, you know, they've all got a good relationship. The striker knows everyone can create a goal. So when he sees Ederson give that devilish look and he's about to kick the ball, get on your high horse. Something might happen there, you know, do you get it? Or sometimes I might throw it short and he might say, all right, cool, it's going to the right back. I know it can hit me at any second. So let me make this run. If it don't come to me, there's space for this guy. And again, these lot know football. These players know football way more than us. So I struggle to understand why every player should be street smart, because you should be learning from experience, in my humble opinion, man. Bro, these men are athletes. Fatigue is ridiculous. Try being a Leeds player. To be fair, them Leeds players get knackered all the time, but you're 100%. I do think we need to be wary, because I do think although they're athletes and although football, they've never been fitter than they are, and I actually think a lot of footballers are going to suffer. I don't know nothing about medical stuff, but it just seems like everyone's getting injured and man are recovering too quick these days. Bare footballers out there being ruled out for months. They're making it back in weeks, and that's great, but there's going to be an issue. I do think fatigue is a factor, because although, like I said, athletes are getting more and more developed in things, they're playing a lot more football, whether that's in club games coming quickly and these pointless friendlies. But I fundamentally agree, fatigue is a bit ridiculous. And again, 37 lineups out of a 38 game calendar. Who else in the Prem has got madness like that? I don't think it's any coincidence, man. You find the system, you find some stability, and it works, man. On a positive note, all the deadwood is finally being handled. I hear that, but I will reserve being happy for when I've seen official confirmation. You know, Xhaka holding a scarf, El Nene holding a scarf, Bellerin holding a scarf, several of these sort of players. Torreira is what it is, man. Arteta's getting the chance to build his old midfield. Can't have any excuses if this process doesn't work now. If our consistency was better, how much better would we be? Or is our mentality more important, it seems? So, well, consistency counts for anything. If you're consistent, you've got mentality. You know, You have to consistency in everything you do makes or break. You know, that you look at half of these teams, they've got mentality, so the two are intertwined. And I'm not going to say we'll win the league, but I definitely think we would have grabbed top four or made more of a fight for top four, because I could sit here and say I don't believe Arsenal's team is good enough on the best of days to claim a top four place, and I still maintain that. But when we've lost games this season, we've handed points away. We've made cheap mistakes. You know, arguably, how many teams messed up opportunities in the top four? There was a point where mathematically Arsenal were actually in it, and we were dropping points together with everyone, and our blushes were being saved. You know, we just can't. You know, we just couldn't make a meal of it. So, yeah, man. That's just what I feel personally, man. Good opinions coming in, man. I like Ollie Watkins, probably a myth for me, though, if you're asking me to sell him, man. It is what it is. But yeah, people, again, while I'm loving the comments, we've got a couple articles in that to cover, people, very briefly. So again, let me cover this Saliba one very quickly for you guys. For what it's worth, I don't think Saliba's going out on loan. I won't be angry if he goes out on loan, but it would kind of scare me because, you know, he's gone back to Saint Etienne. He's gone to Nice. It's time to give my man a chance now, people. Apparently, long story short, and this was the first article I clicked, but long story short, apparently Newcastle consider loan move for defender as club wait on Joe Willock decision from Arsenal. Apparently, William Saliba has emerged as a loan target for Newcastle United, which obviously, if it did happen, before I say what I actually want, I wouldn't be against it. You know, Newcastle, based on your previous track record with Joe Willock, would send him there. Obviously, for me, Saliba be thrown in at the deep end. He's playing in the Premier League. He's playing against a team where, on more occasion, more often than not, Newcastle are probably going to have backs against the Wolves when they play against big teams and things like that. So he'd be exposed to that. Obviously, the fans are being allowed back in, and I think it'd be a good introduction into British football for him because, again, the Newcastle fans are mad with it, and I respect them for it. There's a couple French players in and around the Newcastle team, so it wouldn't be the worst of places to go. That being said, for me, Saliba stays. Gabriel, Saliba, you build around those two. Primarily, I want that as our partnership next season, but they're young men. They're going to be prone to error, moments of madness. They're going to have great periods of form, great periods of not being in form. And we need to be able to save them from themselves. Same way what I said with the young players. So for me, that's why I would like another centre half that's in their mid-20s. Maybe even if you could find a cut price 30-year-old that's levels where I wouldn't even mind it for the short term, but I'd more want someone in their mid-20s, really, someone that can be played with Gabriel and Saliba if either can't do it. You know, Saliba isn't going to be perfect. You know, I think he's had a really good loan spell at Nice. I think he's got good ingredients, but he's at that stage now where to really develop, he's got to train with us. He's got to be given opportunities. He's got to take them, but he's got to be thrown in at the deep end. He has to play against these tough Premier League strikers, you know, the Harry Kanes, the Vardys. There's, you know, even the top one, even the ones that aren't necessarily the top strikers, they're all difficult guys. You know, Benteke would be a massive test for him. Remember when Mavropanos went against him? He needs to go against these tall target men. He needs to go against these poachers you don't see for 89 minutes. You turn your back on it and they slapped in a goal. That's the stage he's at. Because for me, I like Saliba. He can play. The man can play with his feet. He's got a good mentality. He's good in terms of defending. He's got the ingredients. But there's aspects he'll struggle with. I think in the air, he's got to improve with his heading. I think his tracking of, you know, sometimes he's focused on the ball and not the man, or the man and not the ball. It's difficult, but you got to be able to do both. I like how he brings it out from the back. But sometimes you're going to bring it out from the back and get collapsed and put your team under pressure. There's got to be balance. So I actually think his agility could improve and his mobility a bit could improve. And again, obviously not next season, but I'd assume as we move further and towards hopefully getting back into Europe, there's going to be a couple of games a week. So he's got to have to adjust to not only physically being up for that, but obviously in terms of consistency. I think Saliba is going to be a signing for us because he's done well in that Nice team with a fellow French centre-half in Todibo, and they've been leaders amongst men. There's been times, obviously, Saliba's done some Kalam stuff, of course. I'm sure he's conceded a penalty in one of his last games. He's had some good moments, man. I think there's a player in there, but this is the problem. A lot of people talk about potential. If you're going to allow them to get to potential, then you need to be able to take these bridges. You know, to learn how to ride a bike. How many of you dropped off a bike? You know, how many of you dropped off a bike? How many you got the scars on the elbows and the scars on your kneecaps? You have to get back on the bike and ride again and ride it again and ride it again until eventually you realize how to balance yourself. That's like being a centre half, you know. It's all fun and games talking about Saka can be this level in the future, Joe Willock this, Saliba that, Smith Rowe the other, Miguel Aziz, this, that, Balogun, this, that. You're going to need to give them scope for that, because too many fans cry about giving these guys opportunities when you don't know what you're getting them from 10 games. You throw Balogun in 10 games, he's developing. You know, it's not 23s. He's going to have probably 3-5 games where he's amazing, then anonymous, then so-so. You've got to allow these lot to develop. It's like when Reece Nelson, he came back from Hoffenheim, everyone was screaming and wetting their knickers like, oh, he's going to be a messiah, he's Ronaldo. When if you was watching, some games he would score and completely go. Sometimes he wouldn't score and he played well. My point being, he gained some confidence there. It's about building on it. So if you allow Saliba to do a thing, he will, but we just need to allow him to do such. And again, that's where I'm looking at Arteta, because again, this is meant to be the next generation of leaders for Arsenal Football Club. Saliba, to go with, you know, you've got Saliba and Gabriel, early 20s. What? Tini's 25 now. You should be bringing a right back of a similar ilk. Leno's not the oldest of keepers, but assuming he goes, you've got Anana who's 24, midfield Partey's 27, 28, still got years in the tank. Don't know what we're going to do in centre mid, but then in the 10 you've got Smith Rowe, you've got Saka, Martinelli, you've got these young guys about. These guys are going to be the leaders, so we need to train them people. Apparently Newcastle have tracked Saliba for some time, but he might not be loaned out again by Arsenal. And obviously, we know Arteta said William is our player for sure, and that's the decision we're going to be taking soon. When we finish the season, we'll sit down and discuss the roles of every squad, every member in our squad, and how they can fulfill that role. Without getting into that, people, allegedly Saliba has told his agent it's an Arsenal thing, and I think it should be an Arsenal thing. Let the guy adapt, man. Let the guy be part of a leadership, being a leader amongst men. You know, everything's set up for him to thrive now, man. Let the young guys do their thing. I think he should probably start the season as third choice. You know, I'm assuming that I probably at this moment in time it'll probably be Gabriel and Holding, assuming another new centre half doesn't come in. And then when you get your chance, take it and grab it, because I think he can really and truly. Trying to see if there's anything else, but yeah, man. But there is, you know, while I think this is all rumors, allegedly Arteta wouldn't stand in Saliba's way if the Magpies made a bid. Like I said, I'm not even going to carry on with this, but there is logic in Saliba going out on loan again. My problem would be it's not a thing. Last season, I can understand it, because while I wanted him to play, I could kind of sympathize with it in that, you know, we kind of need to do things instantly. So I could understand not allowing him in here, but there's no Europe. Expectations are on the floor. This is the chance to build from it, man, really and truly. So hopefully we can build, give the man an opportunity. Let these, you know, Saliba, Balogun, all these sort of guys, this is the perfect chance for me. But what do I know, man? We'll have to see. So that's that in relation to Saliba, folks. I can't see anything officially, but there is rumors Joe Willock is going to get a new deal, people. Now, I think he's well deserved. He's contracted the same amount of time as Granit Xhaka, 2023. So there's 2 years or so left. So a decision had to be made. Obviously, he's had a good season, so that was going to happen. And I think I was just to jog my memory, I haven't making my own point. So for me, if we did give Joe Willock a new deal, it protects his value. It confirms his future is in our hands. We've got a strong leg to stand on in any negotiating, you know. While I think, you know, the incidence of selling Joe Willock is an interesting one, because I think there's legit cause to sell him, use the money. I think there's legit cause to keep him. What I think, though, is I like him. He's got that box-to-box aspect. He's shown he can get goals. Can we keep that going? Can we develop it? Can we mold it with a bit more on the ball? I don't think he's offered enough at Newcastle on the ball, in terms, obviously driving forward, but to come back to us, because I've been watching him, you know, on the ball, I think there's a lot to be desired in the middle of the park, especially in terms of building. There's not going to be too many games where we're just needing to run around. And as much as I like Joe, I can't really praise someone for running around and having energy, especially a midfielder. You should. My point is not to criticize him. It's just everything should be on the table, because say he's not scoring next season or having a good season, people, you know how fans could be. For me, I'm happy because it ties down another homegrown talent, assuming this happens, and I think he's earned it. I think Joe Willock should be part of the squad next season, but like I said, every option is on the table for me in relation to keeping him, selling him, so on and so forth, people, because of the situation that Arsenal Football Club find themselves in. What's going on here? Thank you. Yeah. Sorry, people. Big up everybody locked in. Please make sure you're hitting the like button, just making this look a bit more prettier, people. So yeah, it is what it is in that regards. That was Joe Willock. Joe Willock, new deal. So yeah, what are you lot saying? He's not, man. Partey's there, but I would like him, man. Exactly. I wouldn't mind a new deal and another year on loan. There's no need to make a harsh decision. Like, if Joe stays, great. If Joe stays, great. If Joe moves on, it is what it is. If Joe goes on loan again, it is what it is. Run up the likes. Xhaka still rides his bike with stabilizers. DG. It's a bit harsh, but here all it is. Some of these comments you lot make kill me, man. Actually prefer cashing in on Joe now. Decent player, but I think his inefficiencies are exposed too much in our system, probably. But to play devil's advocate, could you sit here and say, you know, Steve Bruce understands the player potentially a bit more? Now, I think the way of playing Newcastle is a bit more basic to playing here. But yeah, man, I think Joe, something tells me he's going to develop a bit better. But something tells me, you know, it might be worth cashing in. That's what only hindsight will know really and truly. It's down to Joe to do it again, because he set himself relative high expectations. So we'll have to see, man. Keep Joe all day long. I would only accept a silly offer for him, like 50 mil plus. I think you're dreaming in that world. I can't lie. 25, 30, I'm considering it. But like Essa said, I'd be happy to keep him. But fans should realize that Joe Willock will replace a new signing in that position. I'm not sure of that. I think if anything, Joe covers a body, because Ceballos gone, Xhaka gone, Torreira gone, Guendouzi gone. Assuming allegedly, you know, who have you got in midfield? You've probably got the players in midfield with probably no speculation over their future. It's just Partey. Smith Rowe can be used there, but Smith Rowe's going to be more of a 10. So you've got Partey, El Nene, who, if we're real, El Nene should be moved on. Year left. They'll probably keep him for depth, let him run down his deal. But you've got what? Partey. Like, Joe could stay for the squad, assuming he wants to stay. He might say, do you know what? I don't really want to be third choice, because arguably he should be third choice. Because if I had my way, Partey is partnered with someone else who's 30. Joe Willock can fight his way into the team. As I said, in an ideal world, in the next 18 months, I'd like 2 6s and 2 8s. And if Joe can be part of that, why not? So it's an interesting one to have, people. You know, you could be Joe, Thomas Partey. And then you need a couple of midfielders. And if you sell Joe without bringing one in, and you defo don't have a plan, because I think even if Joe stays, you need a couple. I thought even regardless what we spoke earlier with Xhaka, we need a couple of midfielders. But it's an interesting one, and we'll have to see what happens in that regards, folks. Really, like, really will. Where are we at in terms of likes now? Where are we at? I appreciate everybody who's locked in. I really do. Where are we at in terms of likes? 293 people were flirting with 300. It's not the best, and it could be better. Please make sure you're supporting that one. Stop being lazy. If Willock isn't going to play week in, week out, then sell him now, because his value will go down. To be fair, he's got to earn it. But again, it's more the way, you know, Steve Bruce is using Joe Willock. He's using him in that box-to-box role, and he's thriving. Joe isn't a 10. Well, he can do the 10% luck, 50% skill running about, busybody stuff in the 10, but he's not the sort of 10 we need. It's a box-to-box or nothing, really and truly. At this point, Vieira must have a son or something Arsenal can cut 100%. Cash in on Willock. Would you take Van der Beek? Of course. We need another robbery like it will be. Willock would fit in nice in a 3, but if we're going to run with this pivot, then we need a Partey partner who's disciplined. Goals aside, we need to change formation to get the best from him. Still interesting point. A lot of interesting points. And that's also an interesting point. There's not another box-to-box player in the squad. So if Joe is sold, that leaves a serious hole. While I agree Partey's there, El Nene can get up and down. And I'm just scallywag. I'm not trying to get you. I'm trying to be harsh, because I don't want to sell Joe. But if I'm real with you, I can't really sit here and praise midfielders for running about. Oh, he's got engine. He runs. Bro, you're a midfielder. It's like praising a fullback for being one of the fittest in the team. Brother, you're a fullback. You should be able to get up and down. Do you get it? So the legs isn't something. We need a bit more than that. But at the same time, I agree with you, bro. The legs, only time will tell if he develops in relation to being a proper goal scoring midfielder and making that customary to his game. But he's one of the only players that finds himself in that. I think a bit of a weird one. I don't think Joe knows himself yet. I think obviously he says it himself, he was late to puberty. He's deceivingly tall. I don't really think he understands how to use his body yet and how to maneuver. And I think when he can learn that, there's a lot of things to be said there. The only reason I'm entertaining selling Joe is because, you know, the theme I've been saying is tough decisions. I don't want to sell any of these Haaland guys, but if selling a Maitland, a Nelson, a Joe, any of these guys means, I don't even want to sell Lacquer and he's not part of that, but to use another example, if selling these guys means we're able to address proper holes in our team, then I'm all for it. Like, and I don't think anyone else is against it. Obviously, there's hindsight. Certain Joe might go off to get even better. He might get worse. You know, everyone's going to be a genius with hindsight. I'm sure you've seen it. Half the people are saying that, you know, are saying not to sell him. We're saying Joe Willock wasn't good enough. And they were then moaning when he went out on loan. There's an element of football fan or a football fan you cannot please, if that makes sense. So 100% I agree, my guy, man. It's very interesting ones. Very interesting comments. Also, you've got Guendouzi as well, folks. Apparently a new deal for Matteo Guendouzi. Not quite a Joe Willock sort of motive, if that makes sense. Probably just to, you know, retain some sort of resale value and make sure cash is being kept and retaining cash. But let's see what's being said in relation to Matteo, people. 1 second. I'll draw that up for you right now, where we have it here. Arsenal set to earn 10 million by triggering Matteo Guendouzi contract clause. Hey, come on, man. Your website's already terrible. Arsenal are considering extending Matteo Guendouzi's contract despite his future at the Emirates remaining uncertain. As you lot know, he spent the entire season before it ended in injury for him, completely out of favour. He hasn't played since Brighton. He now looks likely to leave on a permanent basis. Marseille have been linked with a move, and RMC claimed the Gunners are keen to extend the 22-year-old's contract by 18 months in order to maximise how much they can get. At present, Guendouzi will become a free agent next summer. RMC has suggested triggering Guendouzi's extension could earn them 10 million, with Marseille now mulling over the deal. Right, apparently he told his guy to shut up. Petit's told him to shut up if he wants to make it. And it's true. Guendouzi has a volcanic personality. He was called up to the French national team after a good run in the Arsenal team, but I didn't see him have a very good game in that spell. He did okay in games, but as soon as he went to the national team, he changed on the pitch. He had arguments, to be fair, he's had arguments with referees, opponents, and sometimes his own teammates anyways. And I think this is something he has to control. If you want to reach the highest level and stay there, you have to control your emotions. And that's it. Because I actually like Guendouzi. I like him as a player. I think he's one of the midfielders. They're not going to get goals or get assists. They're a bit of an artist in the middle of the field. A bit of a continental midfielder. I like him. I actually like his attitude. You know, I'd rather... There's a fine line, but, you know, needing humility and all of those sort of things. But I don't think we've had that enough. I do agree with what Petit said there, though, in that, you know, probably just need to slap in the ears, calm it down. You know, you ain't done nothing in the game yet. But again, that comes down to the culture of the club. When you've got big old guys and they're joke men and they're behaving like joke men, how can you expect the young players not to behave unruly and do unruly things? It isn't going to happen, is it? That looks ugly. So let's leave. Let's make some gaps, man. That looks hella clapped. But that's that, people. Yeah, done. Nothing there. Done. In relation to Torreira and Lazio, folks, people, there's this one. You might as well get into the Julian Brandt and Torreira business. Where is it? As you lot can see here, apparently Sarri is going to Lazio to replace new Inter Milan manager Simeone Inzaghi. Apparently, while some players could already fit that role, a more natural fit could be introduced via a transfer or loan, which is where Arsenal's Lucas Torreira comes in. Now, once again, his dad has obviously RIP his mother and what happened there, but prior to that, the only time you've heard about Torreira in relation to his spell has been how he wants to move. You know, his dad has said they want to go to Boca. He has said they want to go Boca or South America. They've also opened up the possibility to France or Italy. Clearly just don't want to be in England specifically. You know, I haven't seen players at Arsenal who are actually good players, you know, stock falling to the standard that Torreira's fallen in the last couple of years, really and truly. Some through his fault, some through not. Obviously, because of that, you can see why people would link Torreira to Lazio. I would be happy for it because I would like Torreira in the squad on ability. You know, anyone who doesn't want to be here needs to go, and Torreira doesn't want to go. So he's a player, you know, that I can't lie. He's one of them now. Just seeing his picture, it pees me off. Like, the less I could see of Lucas Torreira, the better. Now it's almost like just get out of my sight sort of thing. But moving forward, there's no place for him under Mikel Arteta. He's believed he's destined to come back and go straight out on loan elsewhere for the upcoming campaign. He's also contracted until 2023. Torreira isn't a must-sell this season for the London side. And to be fair, maybe if he goes to Lazio, he could, you know, his stock could rise. And then maybe with a year left, this time next year, we could sell him, people. Which that has gone on to say, people. So it actually hasn't said anything tangible. It hasn't said where the interest has happened. It doesn't say anything, but we do know he is a man that would relish a move back to Italy. Arsenal would be happy to let him go, and, you know, we're trying to do other things. So we'll have to see what else happens in that regards, people. We were linked with Julian Brandt again, but I think I spoke about that yesterday. So what is the point? Well, look at Liverpool getting mad signings. Oh yeah, so we're gonna leave that one there. I think we spoke about that yesterday, so we'll leave that one there. But yeah, that's that in relation to Lucas Torreira today being linked with a move away, folks. Have to see what happens in that regards. We'll leave the Balogun one for tomorrow because we ain't got nothing to talk about tomorrow. To Lazio. Appreciate everybody that's locked in, close to 500 people. Make sure you're hitting that like button. Let's scroll down and see what else you lot said. Any news about Laka? Not a clue. Guendouzi needs to channel his energy into the right things, 100%, and that's all it's about: balance and just challenging it. Big up my guy. I like and subscribe. No free riding. New deal for real for Guendouzi. Really, I can't lie, I'm Guendouzi FC, so I hear it, but it does help it sell it. And like you said, we have to sell Guendouzi. It gives them a stronger thing, man. For me, Joe Willock can be a 10, but he's not going to be the artist 10. He's going to be the box-to-box grabbing goal sort of man. And I want him to, in the ideal world, I want him to be the box-to-box man at Arsenal. I want him to turn into a box-to-box thingy for us. I'd love him to turn into a 10-goal a season midfielder, because we ain't got that. And then suddenly one's come on our doorstep, you know. Like I said, I just think one thing with Joe, I just think he don't understand. I don't think he understands his body, and that. Like, once he realizes that he's got a little size to him, he will start moving even madder. I still think he thinks he's still behind in that, man. Well, can we have a 20-second summary? Well, David, you got to go back, my guy. I don't know where you're going for that. You better go scroll over the live chat and find your 20 seconds, my guy. Oh, this 20-second countdown. I don't know what you're on, brother, but Willock always has a goal in him and is a better finisher than Smith Rowe. Well, Bearman are better than Smith Rowe at finishing, but always has a goal in him. It's been a bit overstated at Arsenal. It's happened at Newcastle. Time will tell whether it proceeds. For me, the concerning thing with Joe and where he might fall short is because it's the attacking metrics, you know, the forward passes, the passes on the ball, the stuff that I'm looking for in the midfielder and what I was seeing, Joe. I don't think he solved that. I know Joe can get goals. I know once he's confident, he's a crazy player. And, you know, I think, is it to a degree, do we just have to accept Joe Willock for what he is and not what he could be? In that we think he could be a box-to-box and add goals and be all of this, or do we just accept him? He's just there for the energy. I don't know. Wouldn't mind if Willock gets sold, but he could be essential when we need a goal, like off the bench, like Giroud against Chelsea. I would like to see Joe get chances, though, man. He stood out, man. And one thing I like about Joe, and I don't know if I said it, but I typically always say, is bravery, man. Bravery, proper brave guy, man. To be fair, Carl, Van der Beek is a decent player, man. It's just not happening for him at United. They will sell and end up bringing no one. Kroenke out 100%. How much do you think we will sell for Altogether Great Show? By the way, Christian, I don't know who you're talking about. If you're talking about Guendouzi, Torreira, and Joe Willock's going to get the highest fee, in my opinion, because he's had the best loan spell, like, really. And obviously, there's the Prem tax and all of that. So what you could say 25 to maybe even 35 for Joe. Guendouzi, I think, you know, in an ideal world, we should be getting 30, but he's not played anything to that standard. You probably are just taking back your money. Like, it's looking like Arsenal only getting 10 million, 12 million, hopefully slap on a sell-on clause. Torreira, what was it? Was it Fabrizio Romano? I saw them say Arsenal rate him at 13 million. Now, we know, similar to Pepe, we played a structured deal for Torreira, but yeah, man. Arguably, and that's why I rate Joe, because Joe should be commanding the lowest fee, but he's getting the most. And arguably, all three of them could be decent options at Arsenal, really. But is what it is, man. You enter the video, you click like 100%. We are doing the same thing to Smith Rowe as we did with Jack Wilshere. Overhyping it will end the same way. I think you got to speak for yourself. I don't know. I don't know for that. Apparently, Chelsea want a Aubameyang from what I'm hearing, bro. If you're going from Haaland to Aubameyang, not going to bang, is it? Know what you mean about his size. He always plays in very good positions for us, but was awful in the air. No, it's like sometimes when you can lean on a man, it's a bit naive in it. It's naivety. I just think Joe can be good, but I think with fans, you've got to sometimes accept man for what they are. Like, I want all the Haaland players to be main players, but maybe it's just a squad player thing, which isn't the worst of options. Interesting comments, man. Stop begging for likes. Shall I beg for your girls' nudes? Hit the like button, people. Hit the like button. We'll do whatever the backside figure I want on my channel, I'll tell you. I remember Ozil saying Joe Willock will be a top player after pre-season against Bayern Munich a few years back. Said the same about Jeffrey Adelaide. Joe Willock is just a slower developer. And for me, it's how we're going to use him, because as I said at the start, you know, you can see a player in Joe. He's at that, you know, you can see a player in half of these players, but it's one of them funny ones where you can see a player in them, but then you can see us. You can see it if we don't realize that potential, we're just gonna keep doing this. There's a player in Joe. There's a player in Saliba. There's a player in Gabriel Martinelli. There's a player in Gabriel. You know, there's a player in a couple of these guys. But it's, you know, Saliba, if I haven't said it, but it's about getting them to the next level, working with them. How do Arsenal solve their leadership issues on the pitch field, DG? Probably just play, bro. I would say promoting players in a healthy headspace. I say these players have to forgive themselves for sins of the past. Like, it's happened now. Any failures you've been a part of, they're over now. Forgive yourselves. Give them that. I'd say Arteta could only do as much as he can to promote independent thinkers. I think the best footballers on and off the field are the best problem solvers. So provoke that sort of trail of thought, provoke self-education. But I think the players have got one, you man. You know, they've got to have this fire in their belly. I see it with the young ones. You know, I don't see it with the quote unquote experienced ones. I think there's just elements of this can be fixed by the owner changing his ways, the management doing things better, but elements of this improvements that need to be made with Arsenal. You have the feeling that you have to take you can take someone to the water, you can't help them drink approach sort of thing. That's just how I feel, anyways. So and Partey partnership, I wouldn't mind it in some games. I'm not gonna lie. Little better, need a little bit better than that, but it's what it is, man. Oh, some weird youths in the comments, man. Man will watch your ticket, tell you not to ask for likes. let's get the likes up to 400. Good morning, DG and DG Nation. Arsenal board are not serious about getting back to the top of the Premier League. Zach, I don't get it either. Really don't get why people make senseless contributions in the live chat. Nobody's forcing anyone to be here. Like, subscribe, and do all the rest, folks. Big up, Zach. Big up the sensible members. Is Xhaka going to leave for 12 mil? I don't know for a price tag. The latest we saw in the article we read earlier was 20, allegedly. Allegedly. But who knows? other comments have we got? Some interesting ones. What have you said? Oh, what happened to Arteta? First 3 or 4 months, he was getting a good tune out of the players. Now it doesn't look like he can get out all. Pepe's good last game. I don't know, man. Maybe the luxury is worn out between the new manager effect, because it happens. It happened under Emery. These players come out, say the manager giving us new tactics. He tells us this, that. It's amazing and all these things, and then they revert back to type. Maybe other oppositions have found us out. Maybe we didn't build upon the early good foundations, it looked. Maybe he's tried to overcomplicate things. It's all interesting, but truthfully, I don't know, man. I really don't know, but I've been here for over 90 minutes, people. I can't lie. It's 1 p.m. I'm going to go get something to eat, and I'll catch you lot later, man. Please make sure you're hitting the like button, especially you who had a problem with it. Hit the like button, hit the like button, hit the like button. Are you mad? Are you mad? Are you mad? You're definitely going to be mad now. You see your girl shining at the Cocoa Butter King. But anyways, people, I've appreciated all of you lot being here. There's been some interesting points. There's been some interesting comments. I'm just hungry now, so I'm going to have to wrap this up, people. So please make sure you're hitting the like button. I'll be back again tomorrow, assuming there's something to speak about. It was a struggle to find things to speak about today, but probably be back tomorrow at 11:30. I'm pretty sure you haven't seen all of my videos, so yeah, taking the videos that you haven't seen, and yeah, I'm gonna love and leave you lot, people. Obviously a link towards the merchandise, and think I see a comment there it is. Yeah, man, shout all the members and whatnot. I appreciate you lot. But yeah, man, Noah, I appreciate that, but I'm gonna love or leave you lot. Last one, Eddie Nketiah, keep or sell. I think we should be looking at 10 to 15 to 20 million for him. So on that note, I'm out of here, man.